Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for the Small Cap Insights podcast powered by Darrow Associates. My name is Jack Greenberg. I'll be your host for today. We are a leading full-service investor relations firm focused primarily on micro and small cap equities. Joining us today is Jeff Christensen, a managing director here at Darrow Associates. Jeff, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Hi, Jack. Happy to be here.
So let's go ahead and get started with some background. Can you tell me a bit about how you got started working in investor relations and how you came to Darrow Associates?
Sure. I graduated with an accounting degree, and when I graduated, I went to the largest global CPA firm, and it was there that I learned about it, heard about investor relations. I became the one of the officers at uh, a global uh, Fortune 1000 company, and and then I also have investor relations agency experience. I joined Darrow Associates a little more than 5 years ago, and several of our associate team members have multiple years of experience at Darrow here at Darrow, and it speaks volumes for the firm.
Agreed. So let's jump right into it. On the podcast, we talk a lot about the importance of messaging. I've been in several client meetings with you where you've helped executives with their messaging to investors. Can you highlight some of the things that you think are the most effective in communicating with investors and analysts?
Yeah, a couple elements are compelling. One of them is what they are, measurable investor relations actions, and secondly, measurable investor messaging. Those are helpful to investors. And we believe that investor relations actions are measurable. We're one of the few investor relations professionals that believe that. For example, to improve any project, you need to measure it. So for example, regarding investor conferences or the quarterly results conference call, we measure the results from that. That can include how many of the target investors attended and did we meet with. Secondly, is did they initiate ownership in the company or increase their ownership in the company? Those are two areas that we look at. And third is, what did we learn from the questions that were asked in order to going forward, help with the improvement in the messaging that we could integrate into future messaging to the investment community. The I When I was the investor relations officer, I conducted 300 meetings annually with the investment community. 200 of those I did annually myself, and 100 with management joined me. What I learned in those meetings was how to really be helpful with the messaging to engage the investment community. Um, I What we ultimately identified was unpacked was strategies and messaging that we were achieving. 85% of our buyers in our stock were from our targeting and accelerator program. So we were proud of that. The regarding the message, so that's the regarding the messaging. I thought what I'd do is I'd share some examples of companies with effective messaging. Jack, can you see that okay?
Yep. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, great. I'll show some examples here, but there's really three elements to measurable messaging. One is milestones, two is priorities, and three is trackable results. So here's an example of a company that showed their milestones, and they provided 2025 milestones. And with the same slide, they provided what results they've had on their 2024 priorities. The key with milestones is that they're measurable. But importantly, management needs to be 99% confident they're going to achieve a milestone before they put it on a milestone slide. And so that's this. So here's an example of a company that did that. Here's another example that the company showed their 2025 measurable milestones. And here's another example where a company used bullets to provide their 2024 expected milestones. So those are the milestones. Again, the requirement is you need to be 99% confident to have a milestone slide. For companies that don't meet that 99% threshold as far as confidence goes, a good thing to do is provide priorities coming up, for the company. So, for example, here is a company that provided their priorities or for the coming year. They're not measurable in a sense that they're not. Each of them are not specifically measurable. But what's compelling about this slide, it answers that question we get in almost every one-on-one meeting: is what should we look out for from the company? That is what is in this slide. So now we'll talk about trackable results. It's important that a company provide its trackable results on its priorities. When you do that, that gives confidence to the investment community that the company will continue to achieve its priorities. So here's an example of a company that very simplistically provided their net sales and their EBITDA. Here's another company that provided several financial results. And here's another example where they showed results on their product roadmap. One last comment I wanted to make about those slides is that it's important that a slide is understandable to the investment community, that the investment community understands the takeaways from that slide without management having to present that slide. So you can see all of those slides I showed met that criteria. That's important because it saves management time, and it also makes the one-on-one meetings that much more productive. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, it was, and I totally agree. A good presentation will reduce the amount of unnecessary questions in a one-on-one meeting and save them for more important questions. But Jeff, that was great. Really appreciate you taking the time out to be on the Small Cap Insights podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please visit www.darrowir.com for more information. We'll see you all on the next episode of Small Cap Insights. Thanks again, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.